There is a moment, so quiet, so subtle, that most people completely miss it. Nothing in your life changes on the outside. You are still in the same place, still waiting, still making the same du'as, and yet your heart no longer feels the same. The desperation that once kept you awake at night begins to fade. The person you once thought you couldn't live without slowly loses their hold on you. The fear of being alone no longer feels as heavy, and in a way you can't fully explain, your heart begins to feel calm. Not because you got what you wanted, but because something inside you has changed. Most people see waiting as emptiness, but what if your waiting is actually preparation? What if Allah is not delaying your marriage, but preparing your heart for a love that will finally stay? Because the truth is, Allah does not send someone into your life until your heart is strong enough not to lose itself in them. He doesn't give you a love that lasts until He removes the desperation that would have destroyed it. So before the right person arrives, Allah changes you. He softens your heart. He clears your attachments. He replaces your fear with trust and your need with peace. And if you've been feeling this quiet shift inside you lately, this calm, this detachment, this unexplainable certainty, then this is not random. This is not you losing something. This is you being prepared. Because sometimes the biggest sign that something is coming into your life is not what's happening around you, but who you are becoming within. Your craving for love transforms into unshakable trust in Allah. There was a time when your heart felt restless, always searching for someone who would finally understand you, someone who would stay, someone who would make everything feel complete. You thought that love from a person would fill the emptiness inside you, that once the right one came, your heart would finally settle, and without even realizing it, you began to place your emotional security in people. You expected them to give you what only Allah can truly give. You looked to them for peace, for reassurance, for a sense of being enough. But people change, feelings change, situations change, and slowly, your heart begins to feel the weight of that instability. So Allah, in His mercy, begins to shift something inside you, not by immediately giving you the love you were asking for, but by gently teaching your heart where real security comes from. He allows you to experience moments that open your eyes, moments where you realize that no matter how much someone promises, they cannot guarantee they will always stay. That no matter how much you love someone, they cannot carry the responsibility of your inner peace. And this realization is not meant to break you, it is meant to free you, because you begin to understand something powerful. The space in your heart that feels empty was never meant to be filled by a human being. It was always meant to be filled by your connection with Allah. So slowly, your need begins to transform. You stop chasing people to feel complete. You stop depending on attention to feel valued. You stop looking for constant reassurance from others. And instead, you begin to turn inward and upward. You start building a connection with Allah that feels personal. You speak to Him in your quiet moments. You make dua, not just out of desperation, but out of trust. You begin to feel that even if everything in your life is uncertain, He is not. And that changes everything, because now your heart is no longer desperate. It is calm. It is no longer empty. It is anchored. You trust that what Allah has written for you will reach you, no matter how long it takes. You trust that what leaves your life was never meant to stay. You trust that delay is not rejection, it is protection. And for the first time, you are not trying to force love into your life. You are allowing Allah to bring it to you at the right time, in the right way. This is where real preparation begins, because a heart that truly trusts Allah will not break itself trying to hold on to what was never written, and it will not rush into something that Allah, in His wisdom, is still preparing. You stop running after people and start walking in alignment with what Allah wrote for you. There was a time when your heart was always in motion, always trying, always reaching, always running after people who gave you mixed signals, running after conversations that never felt fully returned, running after a feeling, hoping it would turn into something real. You told yourself that if you just tried a little harder, if you just showed a little more love, if you just stayed patient a little longer, maybe it would finally work. But deep down, your heart was tired of chasing something that never fully chose you, tired of feeling like you had to prove your worth just to be seen. just to be valued. And this is where Allah begins to intervene, not always in loud, obvious ways, but through quiet realizations that slowly change your direction. You begin to notice how forced things feel, how one-sided effort drains your peace, how something that is meant to be good for you should not leave you constantly confused. And instead of running faster, you begin to slow down. You take a step back. You stop reaching for what keeps slipping away. You stop trying to hold on to what never truly held you. And for the first time, you choose stillness over chasing. This is not weakness. This is awareness, because you begin to understand something deeper. What Allah has written for you does not require you to lose yourself trying to reach it. You start walking differently, with dignity, with self-respect, with a quiet trust that what is meant for you will meet you where you are. You no longer bend your values just to keep someone close. You no longer ignore what feels wrong just to avoid being alone. Instead, you begin to align your life with what pleases Allah. You choose what is halal over what is tempting. You choose clarity over confusion. You choose peace over emotional chaos. And this alignment changes everything, because when you walk in a path that is sincere, a path that is clean, a path that is guided by Allah, you don't need to chase what belongs to you. It will come to you in a way that feels natural, in a way that feels calm, in a way that does not leave your heart questioning its worth. And slowly, you realize that all the running you did before was never taking you closer to what was written. It was only exhausting you. But now, you are no longer running. You are walking with trust, with patience, with purpose, and what is written for you is already on its way to meet you, because what Allah has decreed will never require you to chase it in desperation. It will reach you when your heart learns how to walk instead of run. Your standards rise naturally, because Allah restores the value you once forgot within yourself. There was a time when you accepted things your heart quietly struggled with. You overlooked small signs. You ignored what didn't feel right. You told yourself, "It's okay. No one is perfect. Maybe I'm expecting too much." But deep down, your heart knew. It knew when it was not being respected. It knew when it was being taken for granted. It knew when something was slowly draining your peace. And still, you stayed. Not because you didn't see the truth, but because you were afraid of losing the connection. Afraid that if you let go, nothing better would come. Afraid that maybe this was the best you could have. But Allah does not leave a sincere heart in that state forever. He begins to awaken something inside you, not suddenly, not loudly, but gently. Through moments of clarity you can no longer ignore, you begin to see patterns you once excused. You begin to feel discomfort in places you once tried to fit into. You begin to recognize that what you were calling patience was sometimes you settling. And this realization changes you, because Allah, in His mercy, starts restoring something you lost along the way, your sense of worth. You begin to understand that your heart is not something ordinary. It is an amana. It carries your sincerity, your intentions, your love, your faith, and not everyone deserves access to something that's sacred. So your standards begin to rise, not because you want more from people, but because you now understand what your heart deserves. You stop accepting inconsistency as normal. You stop tolerating disrespect in the name of love. You stop giving chances where there is no genuine effort. And most importantly, you stop shrinking yourself to be accepted. You no longer feel the need to prove your value, because you begin to feel it within yourself. And this shift is powerful, because when your standards rise, your choices change. The people you allow into your life change. The energy you surround yourself with changes. You become more careful, more aware, more intentional, not closed off, but protected. And this protection is not harshness, it is wisdom, because you now understand that not every connection is meant to stay. Not every person is meant to have a place in your life, and not every feeling is meant to be followed. You begin to choose what aligns with your deen, what respects your boundaries, what brings you closer to Allah, not further away. And slowly, your life begins to clear. The wrong people fade. The unnecessary attachments weaken. The confusion begins to lift. And in that clarity, your heart feels lighter, stronger, more at peace, because you are no longer carrying what was never meant for you. This is how Allah prepares you. He does not just bring the right person into your life. He first removes your willingness to accept the wrong ones. He teaches you to value yourself so that when the right person comes, you recognize them, not from desperation, but from clarity. And that is the difference between a love that breaks you and a love that is built to stay. Your heart becomes steady, no longer controlled by attention, silence, or emotional storms. There was a time when your heart felt like it was constantly being pulled in different directions. A single message could lift your entire mood. A delay, a change in tone, a moment of silence could leave you overthinking for hours. You felt everything deeply, and because of that, your peace was never fully yours. It depended on how someone treated you that day. It depended on whether they showed up or pulled away. It depended on something outside of you, and without realizing it, your emotional state became tied to people. But Allah, in His mercy, does not leave a believing heart in constant turbulence. So He begins to teach you something most people never truly learn: how to become steady, not by removing emotions from your heart, but by anchoring your heart in something greater than emotions. At first, this lesson feels uncomfortable because you start noticing how easily you are affected. You begin to see how quickly your peace can disappear, and that awareness alone starts to change you. You begin to pause before reacting. You begin to question the thoughts that once controlled you. You begin to step back from situations that disturb your inner calm. And slowly, your heart begins to settle. You are no longer carried away by every feeling that passes through you. You begin to understand that emotions are real, but they are not always reliable. So instead of following every emotion, you begin to ground yourself in something more stable, in your connection with Allah, in your understanding that whatever is written for you will not miss you, in your trust that silence from people does not define your worth. And this changes everything, because now you are not shaken the way you used to be. Attention no longer controls you. You don't rise just because someone gives you importance, and you don't fall just because they don't. Silence no longer breaks you. You no longer assume the worst or create stories in your mind. You allow things to be what they are, without losing yourself in them. Even emotional storms, moments of confusion, sadness, uncertainty, they still come, but they don't stay the same way they used to, because now your heart has an anchor. You return to Allah, you make dua, you remind yourself that this feeling is temporary, but what Allah has written is not. And slowly, you begin to experience something you didn't have before: emotional stability, a quiet strength, a calm that does not disappear easily. And this is one of the most important preparations for marriage, because love is not built on emotional highs alone. It is carried through patience, through understanding, through moments where things are not perfect, but you remain steady. And Allah prepares you for that kind of love by first teaching your heart how to stay grounded even when everything around you feels uncertain. So when the right person finally comes into your life, you are not easily shaken. You are not dependent on constant reassurance. You are not overwhelmed by every small change. You are present, you are calm, you are steady, and that steadiness is what allows love to grow. Without fear, without chaos, without losing yourself. Because a heart that is anchored in Allah does not break with every wave. It remains strong, no matter how the ocean moves. You walk away from intensity and begin choosing a love that protects your peace. There was a time when intensity felt like something special. The fast emotions, the constant thinking, the way someone could take over your mind and your day. It felt like love. If it was strong, if it was overwhelming, if it made your heart race, you believed it meant something real. But slowly, through experience, through disappointment, through quiet lessons Allah places in your path, you begin to see something clearly. Not everything that feels intense is good for you. Sometimes intensity is not love. It is confusion. It is uncertainty. It is your heart trying to hold on to something that is not stable. You begin to notice how exhausting it is, how your thoughts become restless, how your peace disappears, how you are always trying to understand, always trying to fix, always trying to hold things together. And deep down, you realize that something that is meant to be good for you should not make you feel like this. So Allah begins to shift your heart, not by taking away your ability to love, but by changing what your heart is attracted to. You start feeling less drawn to chaos, less interested in connections that feel unclear, less willing to stay where your heart feels unsettled. And instead, you begin to crave something different, something calm, something stable, something that does not confuse you, or drain you, or pull you away from yourself. You begin to value peace, the kind of peace where your heart feels safe, where you are not constantly questioning where you stand, where you are not afraid of silence, where you are not chasing reassurance. You begin to understand that real love does not feel like a storm you have to survive. It feels like a place you can rest, and this changes your choices. You walk away from conversations that leave you anxious. You step back from people who bring inconsistency into your life. You no longer try to fix what keeps breaking, not because you stopped caring, but because you started caring about your peace more. And this is not weakness. This is strength. Because it takes strength to leave something intense, especially when your heart was once attached to it. But Allah replaces that attachment with clarity. You begin to see that a love built on confusion will always keep you unsettled. But a love written by Allah will bring you closer to calm, closer to yourself, closer to Him. So you stop being impressed by intensity. You stop chasing emotional highs. You stop mistaking attachment for connection. And instead, you begin choosing what protects your heart, what respects your peace, what aligns with your Deen. Because you realize something powerful. The right love will not make you lose yourself. It will not make you anxious. It will not make you question your worth. It will not disturb the peace Allah placed inside you. It will protect it. It will honor it. It will grow within it. And this is how Allah prepares you. He teaches your heart to walk away from what feels strong so you can recognize what is truly right. Because when the love written for you finally arrives, it will not feel overwhelming. It will feel safe. It will feel clear. It will feel like something your heart does not have to fight to keep. And for the first time, love will not feel like intensity. It will feel like peace. You release the story you once begged for, trusting Allah to write something far better. There was a story you held on to so tightly for so long, a picture in your mind of how your life would unfold, a person you believed would stay, a future you imagined in detail, conversations, moments, a life that felt so close you could almost touch it, and your heart became attached, not just to the person, but to the story. You made dua for it. You hoped for it. You waited for it to finally become real. But slowly, things didn't go the way you expected. What you thought would stay began to slip away. What you believed was certain became unclear, and your heart struggled to accept it. Because letting go of a person is one thing, but letting go of a story you built inside your heart feels much deeper. At first, you try to hold on. You replay memories. You think about what you could have done differently. You wonder if maybe, just maybe, it could still work. And this is where the pain sits the longest. Not in what happened, but in what you hoped would happen. But Allah, in His mercy, does not let you stay trapped in a story that was never written for you. So He begins to loosen your attachment, not all at once, but slowly, through moments of clarity, through distance, through a quiet realization that no matter how much you hold on, it is no longer yours. And this is where something begins to change. You stop fighting reality. You stop forcing what no longer flows. You begin to accept, not because it doesn't hurt, but because you start to trust something greater than your own plans. You begin to understand that if something was truly written for you, it would not require this much struggle to stay. It would not leave your heart in constant confusion. It would not pull you away from your peace or your connection with Allah, and this understanding softens your resistance. You slowly release the what-ifs. You stop holding on to the version of life that only existed in your imagination. You stop asking why it didn't happen the way you wanted, and instead, you begin to trust that Allah saw something you did not, that He protected you from something you could not see clearly, that He removed something not to punish you, but to prepare you. And this is where surrender begins, a quiet surrender, where you no longer need to control the outcome, where you no longer try to rewrite what Allah has already decided, where you allow your heart to rest in His wisdom. You begin to believe that what He is writing for you is better than anything you were trying to hold on to, even if you cannot see it yet, even if you do not fully understand it. And as this trust grows, your heart becomes lighter. The weight of the past begins to lift. The attachment slowly fades. The space inside you, once filled with longing, becomes open again. And this space is important, Because as long as your heart is holding onto a story that is over, it cannot receive the one that is meant to begin. So Allah clears your heart, not to leave you empty, but to prepare you for something real, something that does not require you to beg for it, something that does not leave you questioning its place in your life, something that arrives with clarity, with ease, with barakah. And one day, you will look back at the story you once begged for, and you will understand why it had to end, not because it was meaningless, but because it was never meant to be your final chapter. Allah was not taking something away from you. He was making space for something far better, something that aligns with your heart, your peace, your deen, something that stays. And this is the moment you truly let go, not out of loss, but out of trust, because you now know that what Allah writes for you will always be greater than what you were trying to write for yourself. Your connection with Allah becomes your center, not just a place you return to when you're broken. There was a time when you only turned to Allah in moments of pain, when something ended, when your heart felt heavy, when you didn't know what to do. That is when you raised your hands. That is when your du'as became longer. That is when your connection felt real. But once the pain softened, once life became a little easier, you slowly drifted back. Not intentionally, but quietly. Your connection with Allah became something you returned to only when you needed comfort, only when you were hurting. And for a long time, you didn't even realize this pattern until Allah begins to change something inside you. He brings you closer to Him, not just through hardship, but through awareness. You begin to feel that your connection with Him is not something temporary. It is not something you visit only in your lowest moments. It is something you are meant to live within every day. So slowly, your relationship with Allah deepens. Your salah is no longer just a routine. It becomes a moment of stillness, a place where your heart finally slows down, a place where you feel seen, heard, understood. Without needing to explain everything, your du'as begin to change. You no longer only ask for outcomes. You begin to ask for guidance, for clarity, for a heart that is pleased with what He has written. You begin to speak to Allah not just when you are desperate, but even when you are calm, even when things are okay. Because now, you are not only seeking relief from pain, you are seeking closeness. And this closeness changes everything. Because when Allah becomes your center, people no longer hold that position. You stop expecting others to complete you. You stop placing emotional weight on them that only Allah can carry. You stop building your life around someone's presence. Instead, your life begins to revolve around your connection with Him. And this brings a different kind of peace, a steady peace, a peace that does not disappear when someone leaves, a peace that is not shaken by changes in people or situations, because it is rooted in something constant, in the one who never changes. You begin to feel that even if everything in your life is uncertain, your connection with Allah is not, and that becomes your strength. You start making choices differently. You begin to ask yourself, does this bring me closer to Allah or take me further away? You begin to prioritize what pleases Him over what temporarily pleases your emotions. And this alignment transforms your heart, because now you are not just preparing for a relationship with a person, you are strengthening your relationship with the one who controls all hearts. And this is the most important preparation of all, because a marriage that is not connected to Allah will always feel incomplete. But a marriage that is built around Him is filled with barakah, with mercy, with a sense of purpose that goes beyond emotions. And Allah, in His wisdom, does not send you that kind of love until your heart is ready to keep Him at the center of it. So He brings you closer to Him first. He teaches you how to rely on Him, how to trust Him, how to find peace in Him, so that when someone enters your life, they do not replace your connection with Allah. They become a part of it, a means of strengthening it. And this is how you know your heart has changed. When Allah is no longer someone you turn to only in pain, but the one you stay connected to in every moment, in your highs, in your lows, in your waiting, in your peace. And in that connection, you find something deeper than what you were searching for in people. You find a sense of completeness, not because your life is perfect, but because your heart is connected to the one who is, and that connection is what prepares you for everything that is yet to come. A quiet, unexplainable certainty fills your heart that what is written for you is closer than ever. There comes a moment, after all the confusion, after all the waiting, after all the inner change, when something settles inside you, not loudly, not in a way you can easily explain, but quietly, deeply, in a way that feels real. Nothing around you may have changed. You are still in the same place, still waiting, still not seeing clear signs. And yet, your heart no longer feels restless the way it once did. The urgency fades. The constant questioning softens. The fear that what if it never happens no longer has the same hold on you. And in its place, there is something unexpected, a calm certainty, a feeling that something is already written, already moving, already on its way, even if you cannot see it yet. You stop trying to figure everything out. You stop asking when, how, where, because deep down, you begin to feel that it is not your job to control the outcome. It is your job to trust the one who has already written it. And this trust changes the way your heart experiences waiting. Waiting no longer feels empty. It no longer feels like something is missing. Instead, it begins to feel like a space filled with quiet preparation, a space where Allah is arranging things beyond your understanding. You start to notice that your thoughts are calmer. You are not constantly overthinking every situation. You are not trying to force connections. You are not chasing signs. You are simply at peace. And this peace is not something you created. It is something Allah placed within you. Because when a heart reaches a certain level of trust, Allah replaces its anxiety with certainty. Not certainty of details, but certainty of His plan. You begin to feel that what is meant for you is not far. Not because you have proof, but because your heart no longer resists the idea of waiting. It accepts it, it trusts it, it rests within it. And this is a powerful shift. Because before, you were trying to bring things closer through effort, through overthinking, through emotional attachment. But now, you realize that what Allah has written does not need to be pulled toward you. It is already moving toward you at the exact pace He has decided. And for the first time, you feel aligned with that pace. You are no longer ahead of it, trying to rush it. You are no longer behind it, feeling left out. You are walking with it, in trust, in patience, in quiet belief. And this is often the closest moment before something changes. Not because you demanded it, but because you became ready for it. Because Allah prepares your heart to receive something before He places it into your life. And this feeling of certainty is a sign of that preparation. It is a sign that your heart has softened, that your trust has deepened, that your attachment to outcomes has been replaced with reliance on Him. So now, even if nothing has arrived yet, you are not empty. You are full of trust, full of calm, full of a quiet knowing that what Allah has written for you is no longer something distant. It is something near, something real, something already on its way. And when it finally reaches you, it will not feel sudden. It will feel like something your heart was already prepared for, because long before it arrived in your life, Allah placed its certainty inside your heart. So if you've been feeling this change inside you, this quiet calm, this detachment, this unexpected peace in the waiting, don't ignore it. Don't think something is missing, because nothing is missing. Something is being prepared. Allah is not delaying your marriage. He is refining your heart for it. He is removing what would have broken you inside it. He is building what will help you sustain it. He is teaching your heart how to love without losing itself. And maybe the reason things didn't work out before, the reason certain people had to leave, the reason your plans didn't unfold the way you wanted, was never to hurt you. It was to protect the version of love Allah is writing for you now. A love that will not confuse you. A love that will not make you question your worth. A love that will not pull you away from Him, but bring you closer to Him. So don't rush this phase. Don't doubt this silence, because what Allah prepares slowly, He preserves beautifully. And one day, without you forcing it, without you chasing it, it will arrive in a way that feels calm, in a way that feels clear, in a way that makes sense to your heart. And in that moment, you will realize every delay, every ending, every tear was part of how Allah was writing something better for you. So stay patient, stay sincere, stay close to Him, because what is written for you is not just coming, it is being prepared with care, just for you. If this message reached your heart, take a quiet moment and say Alhamdulillah, because even in the waiting, Allah is working for you. And if you truly trust that what is written for you will come at the perfect time, write "I trust Allah's plan" in the comments. Let it be a reminder for your heart And for someone else who is still struggling to trust, share this with someone who feels like they've been waiting too long. Maybe this is the message they needed to hear today. And if you want more reminders that bring peace to your heart, stay connected with Deenpedia, because sometimes one reminder can change the way you see your entire story.